Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Hatch podcast. I'm your host, Glycel, and here I am today with Aman, my co-host, as usual.
How are we doing, Glycel?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, very tired, and I've been kicked out of my office, which isn't fun, but by our dogs. So I'm doing good though. I think this is a fun one. We, like always, guys, we have got another special guest on the show. And our next guest, I think, is a very interesting one, especially if you're into how to get across messaging in our space, which is very difficult for most founders and builders because they think people understand everything when they don't. And without further ado, our next guest is an entrepreneur, angel investor, founder, influencer, marketer, advisor, and so much more. With over a decade of experience in technology, business development, marketing, and public relations, she's helped hundreds of companies transform their businesses. She has way more followers on every social media than I do and has also done way more interviews and podcasts, so she's probably the expert here. And she's currently an official member of the Forbes Business Council and Cointelegraph Innovation Circle. She's the founder and CEO of Blocktides, a marketing PR agency focused on growth hacking in the blockchain space. Ladies and gentlemen, Myrtle Ramos. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Hello, Aman and Glycel. Seems like you've done your research about me.
We definitely
Absolutely.
tried. Thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, as Aman mentioned, you have an extensive list of experiences and very, very impressive. Maybe we could start with, telling us in your career journey, what do you think were the key turning points that led you to where you are today, in terms of joining the Web3 space and maybe even creating your company, the Block Tides?
I've answered this too many times, but I'll try to answer it in the most what do you call this heartfelt way. But yeah, I started out basically having an experience in the corporate world here in the Philippines for 8 years as a tech sales and account executive, troubleshooting, closing deals for clients. And then after I took a leap of faith way back 2017. I know blockchain already 2016. And then basically I became skeptical way back investing in Bitcoin because someone offered me, because MLM is very, very notorious here in the Philippines. So I became skeptical. But of course, after some time, one guy actually trusted me to host an event here at Tocada, Manila. And then it's all about blockchain and Web3. And I don't really know what blockchain is way back. So I grabbed the chance, I grabbed the opportunity, and I know that I want to host events, and that's really my passion. And then afterwards, it became magic afterwards. So I became an investor relations for a Spotify like startup way back. And then doing side hustles as well when it comes to community management, social media management, everything when it comes to the experience in the Web3. And during pandemic is really our breakthrough. So, I already have all of the resources, all of the knowledge. Why not make it as a full service marketing and development, right? So, and then afterwards, we actually are doing fundraising on the side hustle as well. And $20 million for 7 years we raised. And along with our own projects, I actually stepped down already as the CEO of Place War. It's actually a play to earn game. It's
Mhm.
been acquired already by a big company in Hong Kong, and we raised 5 million there as well. And
Yeah.
then now I'm focusing on investing in startups at the same time with my clients.
Yeah. Actually, I think I actually had a different question to ask you next, but because I'm slightly personally hurt that we asked you a question that everyone asks you, I'll ask you something kind of different related to it. But I went through your experience history, and it's easy to look at it now and say founder, CEO of a company, and you're doing all these things in blockchain, and you run a business that helps a ton of businesses. But if I went back to your first experiences because I like to see where people started, and you started in customer support, which is very useful in the tech industry, but I think it's a beautiful journey to get from customer support to marketing and PR as a CEO and founder, especially since customer support is about user feedback. So you've probably picked up on a lot of skills from there and translated it. But I'm curious if back then you had this idea of maybe life or work or anything playing out somewhat this way, or this was just very spontaneous, things came and you took opportunities when they came, or was it something you had your eyes on?
Actually, knowing the operations when it comes to customer support, so all of the rejections I already know and I encountered already. So that's the reason why my resiliency with those negative feedbacks, with those complaints when it comes to troubleshooting, and then of course, the customers that are not satisfied with their products are basically my foundation. So it made
Mm-hmm.
me and Blocktite stronger, and at the same time sharing my experiences to those to the people that I'm hiring. So I already know the
Mm-hmm.
processes at the same time, and then one day it sparked. Why not the next like PPO here? But of course, when it comes to Web3.
Yeah, actually, okay, that makes sense. And now I'll ask my original question, which kind of goes on from what you're saying. But
And
with
of
block
course,
tides, when I looked at it,
yeah, actually, Draper University really helped me when it comes to the what I call this fundraising, being an entrepreneur, because Tim Draper is actually an investor ever since 2009 in the blockchain and crypto space. So the program really helped me, and I've been a scholar. One day, someone emailed me to be a scholar there. Noticed my LinkedIn. LinkedIn really helped when it comes to my journey being an entrepreneur because there's no
Mhm.
toxicity there. You can just see collaboration and at the same time opportunities. I grabbed them all, and yeah, that's where it all started.
That makes sense. And I think with what you're doing now, I looked into block tides, and obviously it's marketing and a PR agency focused in blockchain. But you mentioned a word which is growth hacking on your website, and a lot of people have told me like growth hackers are very valuable because they know a lot that other people don't. And I wondered if you could kind of explain what growth hacking is, but also maybe please give us one secret on how you guys growth hack because I could not understand it less.
So basically, it's all about like other people are expecting to have like attraction for their social media. So that's
Mhm.
where startups usually start, right? Social media attraction first before you can actually be visible to investors. So of course, when it comes to the blockchain space and marketing is really different because it's very fast when it comes to the strategies because one strategy may work last year or last month, but next month it'll not. So you need to really be fast paced at the same time updated with what's happening, especially in the community. And you really need to experience everything when it comes to community management because empathy when it comes to providing solutions to everyone. So consumers, may it be consumers or founders or the company founders, because empathy can definitely lead you to a lot of great things. Because
Mhm.
placing your self in the shoes of someone, you can understand what's really happening. So that's me basically doing and adding that differently, unlike any other PR and marketing agencies out there. I don't want to mention them, but of course, it's how we work differently. It's the empathy. It's actually the experience as well.
Makes sense.
I love that. I love that you use most of what you've learned through your experience with your company. And could you maybe tell us a bit more for the audience what your company does, and what do you think? How else does it facilitate companies in their quest to adopt blockchain?
So there's actually a hidden ecosystem behind block tides. So we do have 10 already. So the first one is events. So that's where we started. That's the passion that I have, and then marketing. The other one is elevate for us to basically empower women and youth. So that's the other one. And then the other one is motivate for us to provide motivation to not just the community, but of course the people who can really see it. There's a tech company empowering people, the community. It's very unique, right? And at the same time, we recently launched our esports, which is Dominate. So we are now helping more people, not just the pro players, because there's actually what I call this, a separation between pro players and amateurs. So
Mhm.
we created Dominate for us to actually include everyone. So that's the purpose of inclusivity when it comes to blockchain.
Amazing. And you mentioned actually that you were in the Philippines in Manila, if I'm correct. And I think one of the most unique things about the Philippines is the blockchain adoption there is very high compared to other countries, maybe with similar GDP or with similar wealth numbers. It's very high in the Philippines, and I have my own ideas as to why. One being a lot of people in the Philippines speak English, meaning they can access a lot of these products which are in English. But I wondered if you had any thoughts about why the Philippines has adopted this technology so much more than a lot of other countries in the world.
Hmm. Maybe the reason why we are the social media capital in the whole world, right? Philippines. And at the same time, when it comes to tech, we are really advanced when it comes to learning stuff. Even in grade school, we do have like a subject for computer, how to code, how to uh, I actually went to a private school, and then at the same time, we do have subjects for that in computer. So that's the reason why we are very tech savvy in our era, right? I was born
Mhm.
1992, and at the same time, when I was little, grade school, my mother actually bought the white computer already, which I'm very very curious with, and I'm doing Photoshops already way back and doing JavaScripts when Friendster actually launched and MySpace.
Oh, wow.
What did you mean by the Philippines is the social media capital of the world?
Oh, you can research that. So basically, there's a lot of
Mhm.
population people using social media here in the Philippines, especially Facebook.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm actually not surprised because I'm from the Philippines too, but I grew up in Hong
Oh,
Kong.
really?
Yeah, but yeah, so it's been a while since I've been to the Philippines, but in the Philippines, it's not surprising at all, and it's also very strange that everyone's very tech savvy. But yeah, I also kind of wanted to dive deeper a little into the space, specifically in in the metaverse and NFTs. I think during COVID, it was hyped quite a bit, especially since everybody was online. So people were playing around NFTs, and it became a huge thing, but now it's really slowed down, and I'd love to really know what your perspective is on the metaverse and NFTs, and how do you think they would evolve in the next few years?
Actually, the reason why that happened, people, when it comes to the employment rate, a lot of people became unemployed during pandemic, right? So that's the reason why NFTs boomed here in the Philippines, and a lot of people wants to earn money. So at the same time, I know, desperation. It became a desperate move when it comes to other people because even me, um, we invested in buying NFTs for us to help many Filipinos during pandemic, and at the same time we were given the opportunity to do that. So we had 500 scholars for axie way back, and at the same time that's the reason why we started the game. So place
Mm,
war, the one that I mentioned earlier. But
yeah.
now the perspective changed because the world is open, and at the same time many people just copied each other. When it comes to businesses, it's very normal, and at the
Mm,
same time it became very saturated for all of the games, and then people became like, oh no, another thing, and then I'll be burned with my investment. So that's just my perspective, so an opinion of course, but I
Yeah,
know that
and
it'll happen when it comes to the next application. It'll not be the same like Axie Infinity.
oh, sorry, on the gaming side of things, though, I think one thing that people don't realize is NFTs being games. A lot of those games that came out at the time were made in like 3 to 6 months, and good games take years. And
Mhm.
like a AAA game by any major gaming company takes 5 to 10 years to put out. So if we look at the timelines, we should actually be expecting a lot of very good games that aren't just about monetization, but have that in the next year or two, actually. Because a lot of those games people were mean about, but I was like, okay, they had 3 months time to put this together. It's kind of difficult.
Exactly, because they want to jump in the boat, you know. So that's the reason why I know that there will be another game. Again, I'm expecting a MOBA game basically because that's the very um, what do you call this? The game that's actually being supported by a lot of Filipinos and in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
So Indonesia as well, right? So Korea, they all love MOBA games like Mobile Legends and League of Legends. And I know for
Mhm.
sure a game will be tokenized, but not really promoted as a Web3, but you can earn, right?
Yeah,
So it'll be
absolutely.
seamless that you'll never know it's running through blockchain technology already.
Yep. And I think on that, it's like I don't like to think of a lot of the companies in our space and only focus on the money making potential. And I think with a lot of the games in the next 2 to 3 years, you will be able to make money and you will be able to maybe sell your in game assets or your account or any of these things. But that will be so secondary to how good the games are in terms of that's just an extra, not like the main focus. And I think
Yeah.
one of the biggest things in our space is for builders, for entrepreneurs, for founders, everyone is messaging. And our space is unique that it is so it's kind of like a gap between the normal world and our space, and there's a lot to understand in our space, and I think a lot of companies struggle with how to simply put out their message. And I'm curious from a marketing perspective if you know of any kind of industries within blockchain gaming or whatever it is that people respond to the best in terms of messaging, like they find it the easiest to understand.
So basically, they can understand when it comes to education first. So I do have friends when it comes to partnering in universities already here in the Philippines, and basically there's courses already for blockchain and esports. So it's becoming a good thing because again, we're becoming advanced when it comes to education. Because without proper knowledge,
Mhm.
even even my aunt and my uncle are very skeptical at first, but it's up to you to really promote the technology for good.
Yep, absolutely. And with that, we are at our special segment that we did not tell you about.
Oh,
So, our special segment that we do at the end of every show is we actually ask the current guest to ask the next guest a question that we ask at the end. So, first, the question for you that our previous guest asked for you is if you had to choose a kind of metaverse or digital life alter ego name, what would it be and what would that identity look like?
oh wow! I actually have one avatar already, but I want to I want to actually name myself Maria. I don't know, but it's always like that for 5 years. That there's another alter ego that is named Maria. I actually have
Okay,
another
perfect.
Telegram account, which is
Okay.
Crypto Maria.
This time it's not that deep, but what would the outfit be?
The outfit will be like a goddess in the 5D, so another dimension that has many superpowers.
Amazing. And then what would your question for the next guest that we have on be?
Oh, the question. Um, it's very hard. So the next question,
Honestly, to give you an
if you,
example, one person asked us to ask the next guest if crabs in the ocean think that fish are flying. So don't worry about it being too serious. It can be anything.
oh
It could be
okay,
anything you
if
want to ask.
if you can actually live with the most famous entrepreneur in the whole world, who would it be and why?
Okay. I actually like that.
Ooh,
I like that question a
that's a good
lot.
question.
Um,
Yes,
so I think
because me, I want
no,
to actually live with Elon Musk. I actually want to know where how he's doing that. You know, there's a lot of hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I don't know, but I'm very curious.
I promise you, it'll be very interesting, but you'll be very stressed. That's
I'll watch
probably
the
what I
next
think would be
episode.
amazing. So I think at this point, we're kind of at the end because we try to keep it a bit short, but we really wanted to thank you for coming on the podcast today, and wanted to maybe, if you, for a second, if you want to tell the people at home where to follow you, where to support you, where they can find you, just rolling out the red carpet a little bit.
So they can follow us on Block Tides. So all of that, I already grabbed the name when it comes to Block Tides. So we'll not have any impersonators because I know it'll happen. So it's all Block Tides without spaces, guys. I took all of the usernames because someone will actually sell it to me with a very high price. That's the reality in setting up a business.
Yep.
So if you actually have an idea for your business, grab that, register your username immediately in all social media handles. A lot of people are selling to me
Yeah.
like domain names and EDNS already. And then I told them I don't
Mhm.
need that.
Right.
Especially if you become successful, then the price just goes up. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Hatch Podcast. Thank you so much, Myrtle, for coming on the show. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave us some feedback. Let us know who you want to have on. And we will see you next time. Peace.
Thanks, everyone.